Time is the apex predator.
I really want to thank you guys for recommending this show because I had such a blast watching it. There's so many good things I can say about this show, but I mainly want to discuss a couple of main points. So this is like a spoiler warning because I'm gonna, as always, spoil everything. Fallout. This show is mainly about a post-apocalyptic world in this weird alternate universe where everything is like retro America. 200 years ago, there was a nuclear war. This guy named Cooper Howard, he's having a birthday party for his daughter and then the nukes drop. 200 years after that nuclear war, and we follow this girl named Lucy, and she was born and bred in the vaults. So they had Fallout vaults, obviously, because the world was preparing for this nuclear war. And so we follow Lucy. She lives in this vault triad where they exchange with Vault 32 because she's from 33. They find out that the people in 32, they were actually taken out, and then the people that they're trading with right now are like surface dwellers. And I'm like, oh my god, there's people on the surface. After the attack from the surface dwellers, her father, Lucy's father, who was the overseer, like the guy in charge, he was taken away. She actually has to go to the surface and get him back. She's like completely out of her element because obviously she's never been to the surface world. And I was very surprised that she even survived. There were so many moments in this show that I'm just like, I thought she was done for, but she made it out. And I'm like, wow, she's pretty lucky and she's pretty resourceful and she's pretty smart and capable. There were a couple of moments where I thought she was a little bit annoying because I'm just like, she's being way too nice. She's being way too nice. But I'm just like, yeah, I guess we have to let that go because she grew up in the vaults and she was taught the golden rule where you do unto others as you want done to yourself or something. Basically, the vault people are civilized, but the people on the surface are not. Seeing all of this, I was like, why are there even people on the surface? It's supposed to be radioactive, like post-nuclear war. You have people out there and then you have people in the vaults. I'm like, if you can live on the surface, why would you stay in the vault? But we soon find out that the outside world is a wasteland of like dangerous creatures. There's like giant cockroaches in this. I hate cockroaches so much. And these ones are like huge and they don't die. And they're all mutated from the radiation. Lucy is one of the three main characters. The other guy, the ghoul, mutant cowboy zombie, and he's actually Cooper Howard, the guy from the first scene who was holding a birthday party for his daughter, and he was there when the nukes first fell. So I'm like, oh man, this is 200 years later. So I'm like, I guess he survived as a zombie for 200 years. He's become a bounty hunter and he's on a mission to get his family back, which I guess we didn't know that until the end. This world, I'm like building it in my head. This world also has like magical potions and like mutant zombies, and I'm like, oh, this is a crazy world. And the third main character is this guy named Maximus, who's part of the Brotherhood of Steel. It was like religious. Their head is like some old pope guy. And then they have like this monarchy structure in their society where you have knights and then you have squires. And these knights are people dressed in like iron armor. Maximus was a good character, but in the beginning I was very frustrated because he kept putting himself in situations where he would get caught in his own web of lies. I liked how they would give you clues or puzzle pieces or things that didn't make sense, but then later on it sort of fit together. That was done very well and it kept me watching. We do find out that in Vault 31, there's a bunch of humans from old world. Humans from 200 years ago that was part of upper management at Vault-Tec or whatever corporation did all of this. They're all hibernating in these pods and they're using their genetic material to clone people. Are they cloning people? I forgot if they're cloning people. They're doing some weird science experiment. These vaults themselves were just a giant clump of science experiments. Human experiments! And I was like, that was a cool reveal. I would have never guessed that. And I also forgot to mention that there's also this guy, this scientist dude, who also had a dog. Oh my god, the dog was so cute. I love the dog. Back to the scientist. The scientist, he developed, or he had the tech, the cold fusion tech that's supposed to be the key to unlimited energy. Everyone's after this guy, Lucy, the ghoul, Maximus. They're all after this science dude because he put it in his head. And then he died, but they're like, the head is like getting tossed around like a hot potato. Because we then later find out, this is the main thing I wanted to discuss in my video, was the freaking revelation that Vault-Tec, or I guess this group of corporations that support Vault-Tec, the Enclave, I don't even know, they were the ones that dropped the bombs. Like when I heard it, I was like mind blown because I totally didn't expect that. But then I thought about it and I was like, I guess it makes sense because the moment I saw those bombs drop, I'm like, why is nobody mentioning like who dropped the bombs? Did we bomb the people that bombed us? Because I feel like that's what would happen, right? In a nuclear war, you would exchange these bombs. And then when they finally revealed that it was the corporation, the Vault-Tec corporation, I was like, oh, it makes sense. When they were first proposing this idea to all the board members, okay, because this is a flashback, because this is why we have the ghoul guy. He is like the link between now and the past because he was alive back then and his wife actually worked at Vault-Tec. She is actually the one that literally said, we dropped the bombs. The whole reasoning behind all of this, they're trying to sell the end of the world as a product. They are a company. They only care about revenue. They're like, yes, this is how we get people to buy space in the vaults because we need to make sure they're scared of these bombs. We need to make sure they live in the fear that one day the world is going to be destroyed. If you're locked in a resource war for so many years, there's bound to be some company that rises up and is like, I'm going to try to profit from this. They became so big. They built so many vaults, and then the war. There was signs that the war might be over. And the moment people realize that there's no more threat of war, they're going to stop buying these vaults. And so Vault-Tec is like, no, we cannot let this happen, because the moment we let this happen, we cannot stop. We don't make any more money. That's why we need to drop the bombs. We need to create the situation. If the situation doesn't happen by itself, we need to force it. We are going to drop the bombs. So they dropped the bombs. And their whole spiel about this was how like, oh, this is how we get rid of our competitors because time is the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. The moment I heard that, I was just like, what? Like, it made no sense. It literally like went in this ear, went through the other. And I was like, wait, what did he say? Time? Unless you're telling me you can control time, how are you going to weaponize it? It's literally one of the most passive things out there. It just flows. It flows like a freaking river. Their whole idea was to bomb the surface. They go underground and they're just going to wait it out. They have these hibernation pods that can just like keep them alive for, forever. I don't know. I don't even know what the limits are on this timeline, but they're like, yeah, we just wait it out. And then eventually the surface people, any sort of life on the surface, will die out. And then we just come and recolonize. That honestly sounds like the most terrible idea. I don't know, unless I'm missing the bigger picture. How does that make any sense? First of all, you destroy everything on the surface. Everything on the surface is so much better than whatever you have down in the vaults. You're going to make the land radioactive. You're going to get rid of all these plant species, all these animals. You're going to mutate all of these things. You're going to make the world a barren wasteland. How much money would it cost you to recolonize all of this? You would be out of resources. But I guess they have cold fusion, so I'm like, maybe they were going to use that. Okay, I'm going to talk about cold fusion in like 2 seconds. Because cold fusion also sounded so great until I saw it, and I was like, it's not that great. Maybe they're doing something cool behind the scenes that we haven't found out. If I was sitting at that round table and I heard that, I would have just walked out. This is our ultimate plan. Like, this is what we're going to do with all of the money and resources we have. I feel like it costs you more to do that than you can earn back. This is like a failing business model, isn't it? Okay, that was only part of the plan. The other plan was to use the vaults as human experiments so they can literally artificially create the perfect human civilization that would never go to war, I guess. Or that idea also doesn't sound like it would have ever worked because, first of all, yeah, you can clone all the humans you want, but then one mutation could like F up your whole thing. Unless you were planning, this new human civilization never reproduces, or everyone is just a clone of the previous person. And nothing ever changes. Apparently, there's only 2 ways the universe could end, either in fire or ice. And the ice option is literally everything goes to 0 Kelvin. Everything is the same, no motion, nothing for the rest of eternity. And that is what no change is. That is what 0 entropy is. That what we want? Okay, is that we want a never changing thing? I mean, that was like their thing. That's why they're hibernating. That's why they're like preserving these managers. They are the perfect people to be the seeds of our next generation. I don't know. There's a reason we die, okay? There's a reason why we're not immortal. If you never get rid of the old, you can't make way for the new. Oh my God, I feel like this is getting like very broad. I need to bring it back to whatever they were trying to do because it wouldn't have worked. The whole thing about war that we've all learned is that, you can never get rid of war because there's always competition. I don't think war is only over resources though. There are so many other things that people fight wars for. Differences in ideology, religion, disagreements. There's always going to be that conflict. There's no way you can eliminate conflict entirely. I guess these 3 characters, these 3 main characters are going to save the world. Okay, they're going to do something. And that was the end of the season. And then, oh yeah, I need to talk about the freaking cold fusion. When they first talked about unlimited energy cold fusion, I was like, maybe that is the solution. My first go-to thought was like, that could actually be one of the solutions because the reason they were fighting in the first place was over the limited resources. If we have unlimited resources, there's no reason for us to fight. If you're immortal, you don't have any urge to do anything now. You can do it whenever because you're gonna live forever. And then when they finally showed cold fusion and it was just in this bottle and then it was kind of into a machine and it was just spinning around, I'm just like, okay, so their version of unlimited energy is it is indeed unlimited energy, I guess, if it never runs out, but it's not readily available, and that is the problem. That is why you will still have war, because people can still control it. I mean, unless this unlimited energy source is like everywhere and anyone could just take it and use it, that defeats the purpose of having unlimited energy to stop wars. That was very disappointing to see, but I guess it was too good to be true. Great show though. I had a good time. There was this other thing I thought about when I was watching this show. This other thing I was thinking about was like, you know, if we were born and bred in the vaults like Lucy was, and then I found out my life was a lie, that's a weird realization. But it makes you really question, you know, how people are like, oh yeah, the world is a simulation. But I was just like, why does it matter if it's a simulation? I know people are like obsessed with like trying to prove that it is or like finding out the truth. We have an innate curiosity within us that makes us try to search for the truth to find the answers. I mean, that's the reason why I kept watching this show. Why I was so like pulled into all of these things that made me want to find out what's this all about. But then sometimes I think about it and I'm like, maybe it's better not to know. But I also cannot do what Chet does. Like if I already know like something's up, like something doesn't feel right, it doesn't work anymore. If you want to live in ignorant bliss, it has to be like you're not questioning anything. You're not suspecting anything's wrong. Like everything just seems normal to you. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's sometimes better, because sometimes when you find out the truth, you're obsessed. And then it also makes you think that this might not be the truth, because once you've been lied to, you start questioning everything. You're like, oh, even if I did tell you the truth, how can you prove that what I'm telling you is true? Because now that you know, it could be a lie. I don't know. That's why I'm just like, if we are in a simulation, I don't think I ever want to find out. And even if I do find out, I'm like, how do I know that the next thing isn't another layer of the simulation? It could go on forever. Might as well just stay in my little happy place. I want to thank you guys again for recommending this show to me, because it was great, and I hope to see more shows like this in the future. And you guys can also let me know your thoughts. Did any of what Vault-Tec did make sense to you? Or maybe you know the whole bigger picture, because I've never played the games, I don't know. Or I just missed something in the show. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.